Hi, I'm Mike of Star Structure Telescopes, and I built the 30-inch Lidar scope for you, and I'm making this video to show you the assembly and some of the features. I didn't know exactly what application you were using it for, so I did my best to accommodate you with different size weights and adjustment methods to fit your needs. Okay, I have some of the various parts of the telescope laid out here on the table. This is the upper cage assembly. Alright, I'm going to explain this. This is the adjuster and the SMA fiber optic holder here. That is going to ship installed. I'll show you that in a minute. And this is various weights and hardware to use to balance the telescope. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you, the installation of the focuser. It goes on the underside, so this is the front and this is the back, so these go to the back. There's an Allen key here, right here, okay, and that there's a hole in the side of this that's going to line up with the hole here like this, and then these 4 screws, and like I said, this is going to be mounted to the telescope when I ship it, so this would just be for the purposes if you need to remove it. Okay, and then just a Phillips screwdriver. And you don't really need to tighten these very much. Now, just for your information, if you need to tilt this in any way, you can install thin washers between the spider and the focuser to create a tilt. Okay? Because I'm not really exactly sure where your focus point needs to be. These should just be snugged, not tightened. Alright, and then as you can see here, alright, this will be able to reach that Allen key right there. Okay? Okay. So then your SMA, you'll put your fiber optic in. This will fit into here. Loosen up the Allen keys so it drops in. I put a window here so you can read all the increments on it. And then you'll come in here, you'll tighten, again just snug. And then you have your adjusters here. This gives you your X and Y axis to move the center to center everything. The way I have the scope set up, everything is pretty much centered. And I have already set the focus point to where I believe it should focus, but if you need to change, as you can see here, I have a one stud in there already. Okay, this is the point where I think it needs to be, but you could go further away from the primary or closer to the primary in 1/2-inch increments. So that gives you an adjustment of the upper assembly to and from the primary. Okay, then the weights. Now these are, because the telescope was f2, have a very short front end with no weight up top and a very heavy primary, so I needed to add a lot of weight to the upper assembly. Okay, here are the weights I'm going to supply with the telescope. I have 4 large and 4 small. You only need the 4 large on there, which will create a top light situation by about 2 or 3 pounds. So in other words, the telescope will drift upward slightly because I'm not sure how much weight you're going to be adding to the telescope. Now if you see the weight here, one side has a nylon washer embedded in it and the other side has these 4 pads. This goes on the underneath side. So this is the front of the telescope. This will go under here. Okay. And then I have 2 bolts, one long, one short. The long one will be if you want to put the smaller weights. So this will go like this, and then the smaller weight with the pads touching down like that. And then you could put the longer bolt through everything, and then the shorter bolt will be just for this. So just to show you real quick, the bolt will go through. You'll see there's a nylon washer here just to protect anything. That also helps with the dampening of the telescope. This bolt will go through the weight, and then you want to align it so that it's parallel to the edge, and then it'll just be a washer, and then a thumb screw like that. Keep everything nice and straight like that. Okay, there is one weight on each side. You do need all four of the larger weights to initially balance the telescope, and then you could add the small ones to the top as needed. Okay, with the weights, what you want to do is you want to assemble the entire telescope, and then you want to put the weights on last to keep the upper assembly as light as possible during installation. So those are the weights. Now, another feature that I built into the scope, okay, these right here are the upper attachment points to the truss tubes, and basically that will slide into this slot, and then you will tighten the wing nut to lock it down. So what I did, again, because I'm not entirely familiar with how you want to focus the scope, I put these set screws into the trusses. Now what that does, it allows you to change the plane of the upper assembly to the primary mirror. So what you would do, you can adjust the two opposite set screws high, so you can create a tilt this way and then adjust as needed, or set the top and bottom truss high and then create a tilt as needed this way. I'll explain that more when we assemble the telescope, but I just wanted to show you this feature. And you can see here again, you need a 1/16 Allen key, and then you can just adjust it up or down. You may not need any. You can just put it all the way down, and then the upper assembly will set all the way down. You can set them all up just a little if you need to create a really accurate focus point. So I just wanted to point that out, and like I said, I'll show it again when we assemble the telescope. Okay, this is the rocker and mirror box assembly, and then I have the primary mirror over here, which we're going to show the installation of, and assemble the trusses, and then the rest of the telescope. What I want to show you now, on the ground board, the part that's going to ride on the ground, I did put mounting holes for a permanent situation. Okay, so there's 3 holes. You can place the telescope, mark the holes, and then use whatever hardware you like. Okay, I want to show you quickly the azimuth and altitude braking system. Alright, so I'm going to show you the installation of this one. This one stays on permanently. This one, if you need to remove the mirror box from the rocker, you want to take the brake assembly off, and I'll show you how to put that on. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to ship the two together or separate, but I'll let you know in an email when I do. Okay, so this is for the azimuth movement. So once you position the scope where you want, you just simply snug this down. It will lock it very well. You do not need to over tighten this, just snug it up. Okay, loosen it to have it move, tighten it to lock it. Okay, the altitude lock system basically has a slit in it that will ride here, and then when you tighten the bolt, it pinches it on this rail. Okay, to install it, you want to tip the scope back beyond that point, and then install this. Carefully let this down so it goes into the groove. Okay, then you're going to use the 2 provided 1032 screws. Locate the holes, thread those in. Alright, and then Allen key, you snug these up like this, okay, and then the washer, and then the thumb screw, and that's the installation of the altitude brake. So put it down like that. Now I want to make clear that this was not designed to lock it solid. Since this tube will be balanced, It will hold it in position very well, but in the event that someone grabs it or bumps into it, it will give a little bit. You can tighten this pretty good and it will hold very well, but it's not meant to lock it solid. I just wanted to show you the primary mirror cell real quick. It's an 18-point full floating cell. The edge mount is preset. Everything on it is preset. You don't have to do anything but install the mirror. Okay, these are the hold down clips that you just want to flip out of the way when you're putting the mirror in, and then they flip over the edge of the mirror after the mirror's in, just to keep anything from happening to it. All right, we're going to show the installation of the primary mirror. When you do that, you want to keep the cardboard cover that it comes with on the mirror to prevent you from getting any fingerprints on the optic. You also want to have something to, keep the mirror at a good, comfortable height so you can just walk and put it in. Right here, I want to show you, this is pretty much where you want to hold your hands. 2 people needed to do this. The mirror is about 130 pounds. So you want to put your hands about here and here. So in other words, when you're grabbing the optic like this, the other person on the other side. Alright, straight up lift, straight over, straight down, and then we'll flip the clips over, and that'll be the installation of the primary mirror. Alright, before you get ready to put in the primary mirror, without the mirror in, see I released the brake, it's slightly front heavy still. So what you want to do, bring it back till it's about level, and then I'm going to lock it out with using the azimuth clutch, okay? So now, we're going to grab our mirror the way we explained. If you notice here, I have something underneath it so we can get to the mirror easily, so you can take it out of its box. This is some of the foam used to pack the mirror. Okay, and then we're going to lift. We're going to walk it over. Okay, we're going to tip into the rear edge, and then we're just going to let the top go down, just like that. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to push the mirror into the edge system. Then at that point we would remove the cardboard cover and flip the clips over. For this demonstration, I'm just going to keep the cardboard cover on it, and I'm flipping the clips over the cardboard cover, which you can do as well to protect the mirror when the scope's not in use. Okay, and that, I'll show you real quick, is the installation of the primary mirror. Okay, I'm going to install the truss tubes. Now, just so you can see, one moves, one is solid. Alright, this is more for shipping purposes, so I can collapse them, but they'll be like that. When you install them, okay, the plate, the upper truss plate, you can see goes to the outside of the scope. So when it's going on, the plate is to the outside. Okay, they don't need to go on any particular order, so I'm just going to start with this one. Just slide it onto the bolt that's there. Slide it onto the bolt. Okay. Alright, so I have the truss on. I'm going to grab a washer and one of the 1/2-inch nuts. This is set up for a permanent assembly, unlike the other scopes. So I'm just going to put these on, and then you can use a wrench or a ratchet or whatever you got. These are 1/2-inch, and then you just go ahead and snug them up. Now there are, you probably can't see this, but there are nylon embedded washers to the scope. This is to help with vibration from the scope to the truss tube to the upper assembly, so those do remain. Okay, I'm going to continue assembling the trusses. Remember, plates to the outside. I want to show you that on the sides of the telescope there are these notches in the altitude bearings. The truss is going to end up right here in that notch, so take care. So again, just line up with the hole, put it in, And then I'm going to put this one in, like that. Follow through with your washer, nut, and then tighten it up. Alright, coming in with this one. Again, I'm going to line it up. Line it up with the hole. Goes into the notch. Washer and nut. And what you can do, you can go ahead and put them all on here loosely, just snugged up by hand, and then come around with your wrench and tighten them all up. Finish up with this one. Okay, and then last. Washer and the last. Okay, and then these are 1/2 inch. I'm just going to come up in here and I'm going to run around and snug them all up. They don't have to be really tight, just kind of get them where they're tight and give them about 1/8 of a turn. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and install the upper assembly, and like I said, I have these bolts positioned where I think they need to be. So if you need to move them, what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to assemble it, see where the focus is. If you think you need more than 1/2 inch, you're going to do it here. If you're less than that, you can use the set screws that I have up in here. Okay, real quick, I just wanted to show these set screws again. So, as I said, if you need to tilt the plane this way, you can screw this one up slightly and that one up slightly, which will make these 2 points higher than these 2 points, and the front end will actually teeter-totter this way. So then you can teeter-totter it, lock it down where you need it, or you can use these for fine adjustment to lift the entire upper assembly together. So then you would make each one the same height, which will bring it further away. So that's really for very fine focusing adjustment, which you also have in the fiber optic focuser. So I just put these things in just in case, because again, I didn't know the application. All right, I'm going to go ahead and install this now. So I just wanted to show the orientation. If you see the 2 adjustment screws here, I'm going to keep them so when the scope is looking at me, they're down. Okay, so you'll have easy access to them. So to put this on, I have a little ladder here. I'm going to walk up the ladder. All right, if you see what I'm doing, I'm putting that bolt into that one. Okay, and I'm going to line up that one. And I'm just going to holding these 2 and line them up. Now I don't have any of the hardware on, so it should sit just like this. Okay, once I have it up there, then it's going to be a washer and then one of the thumb bolts. Now you can also kind of keep these loose. See, I can raise and lower this, so I can also create different orientations just by doing it like this. Okay. And again, with those set screws, see, that would hold this up higher or down lower depending on where you set them. So I'm just going to run around the scope one at a time. Now if you notice, I do not have the weights on the scope yet. I recommend doing that after you have the scope assembled. Okay, I've gone ahead and I've put on 3 of the weights, and what I wanted to show you right now, it's light by about 8 pounds. So you can see when I bring it down, it wants to go back up. And what I'm trying to show you here is how effective the altitude brake is. So you see right now I can do that and it will hold a significant amount of weight up. So what I'm getting at is you don't have to have the scope perfectly balanced to lock it in position. In fact, you're actually better having it a little bit top light, pulling it down and locking it. This will help with dampening on the image to your fiber optic. All right, what I wanted to show you is the installation of the last weight. So the bolt's through, it goes like this, okay, and then the nut and washer on the bottom. Now, if you want more weight on the top, you're going to go ahead and use the smaller weight up top. The longer bolt will go through this with the smaller weight up top. And then the larger weight on the bottom. And then you'll go ahead and put the nut and washer on it, holding the assembly. So this will allow you to fine tune the telescope. You can put one of these, two of these, three of these, or four of these. With all 8 weights on, it's actually top heavy then. So in other words, it'll come down easier than it'll go up. Okay, I wanted to show you the rear of the telescope. These two on the bottom here will adjust the primary mirror so you can bring it to center. Alright, there's 4 basic motions with these. You go both in, that will raise the image up. Both out or counterclockwise, that will bring the image down. If you go left side clockwise, right side counterclockwise, that will tilt the image to the right when facing, in my orientation, to the scope. And then you can go left side counterclockwise, right side clockwise, and that will bring the image to the left with my orientation to the scope. The top bolt is fixed. The mirror height is fixed, so any adjustment for focus must be done on the upper cage assembly. Okay, that's pretty much it. That's the fully assembled telescope. I made the movement of it. It's very smooth but a little stiff because I think what you want to do is just point this and then it's going to stay for whatever application you're going to use the scope. I hope it works for your application really well, and that's the end of our assembly video. Thank you very much.